It's...
Welcome to the Scoop Zone, where our panel discusses the most recent entertainment scoops from Mikey Sutton's Geekosity.com. And now, your hosts, Keith and Gary.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Minefield with the Scoop Zone. And we are here with our co-host, but not Arwen today because Arwen's daughter had a little bit of an accident. So she will not be doing the show with us this week. We will miss her.
Love you,
and
Arwen.
of course, we hope that little girl's arm's okay. But with me are our partners in crime on this show, 24/7 Fusion Media.
How's it going?
And Sil Abdul. And Sil, do you got some new toys back there behind you? What is that?
I just got this little. We're expanding, right? Full display coming soon.
Roger that. Roger that. I got Luke Skywalker behind me with my my little Grogu.
Oh, okay.
So my stepdaughter is awesome.
The child.
Oh yeah, dude, they're in storage right now. I have like 6 the child figures, small to large. Just they all occupy. Keith's seen them. They were all on my desk at one point, but they're in storage until we move into the new place. Right now, all I have is this little temporary set. But I love what's behind 24/7 there. That's a lot of movies and games.
That's Blockbuster Video behind them. Where did Blockbuster
It looks like you could build a house with all those. I've heard of people using Coke bottles and beer bottles.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, my co-host and best friend Keith is here. And we're going to be talking about some nerdy nerd stuff. And of course, this week, we're, of course, talking about what this show is, Geekosity. We're going to talk about, first, scoops from Mikey Sutton that have been proven. So what we got here from Geekosity is back on December 9th, Vincent D'Onofrio returns as Daredevil's Kingpin in next Hawkeye episode. He, of course, was ahead of the game in announcing this. And, of course, when it appeared, on December 16th, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin makes MCO debut in Hawkeye. Once again, confirming one of Mikey Sutton's scoops. One of his mini scoops. He's been proven right, and nobody's ever proven him wrong. So there we go, man. Isn't that cool? What do you guys think of that?
Wow.
That's another one.
What do you guys think of that?
Look, it adds to his legend. I mean, his average, it's unreal. He's yet to be proven wrong. So,
yeah, I've not seen anybody do it yet. If someone has, I'm completely and utterly unaware of it. Sil, you know anything we don't know?
Oh no, just with that, I thought that was pretty cool to see that in real time. Kind of come out. And when the Hawkeye series was going on, people were speculating, and Mikey, got with his insiders, and he's like, "No, yeah, he's actually going to show up this episode." And
his insiders, I can guarantee, are vetted insiders.
Yeah.
This is not negative to any of the other guys out there, but the fact is, Mikey has legitimate insiders that he goes to that are confirmed employees of the studio system and that's the way it is, because he's got that 37 years behind him working in the studio system and for entertainment publishing. Dakota Johnson is Madam Web allows Sony's Spider-Verse to cross over with the MCU. And Kieran, our good friend Kieran, who will be on next week, wrote that Dakota Johnson's Madam Web will bridge Sony's Spider-Verse with the MCU. In other words, Marvel Studios won't need Doctor Strange to cross over with Sony. So that's really good.
That's interesting because obviously we thought with No Way Home and this whole multiverse that's how we're going to get this whole Sony Marvel thing. But no, Sony's like, no, we're going to have a say in this actually on our side. We got Madam Web. We got the rights.
And,
right?
and
So
one of the other things that people
nice.
forget is that Madam Web got her powers as a mutant.
The mutant, yeah.
So this is once again the entrance of mutants into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
Just well played by Sony. Look, so it forces Marvel to play nice going forward. Like if you want these crossovers, we got 50-50 in this. So
I don't know. I'm of the ilk that believes that Sony needs more from MCU than MCU
They
needs
do.
from Sony. So I think that I think that Feige could probably be a little bit of a dick, and they'll go, "It's okay, it's Monday."
But he needs Spider-Man, That's like that carrot that Feige. I know, Gary and Keith. Y'all know, Feige needs Spider-Man. So
right.
they got, they got that stake in it. Not that they are controlling anything. Sony's not, but they guarantee got stake because of those rights, because of Spider-Man rights.
So, what are you thinking, Keith?
You know what? I just think that overall, as long as Feige allows himself the opportunity to partner with people who are also fans to a certain extent, because it's easy to get wrapped up in one person doing everything, and sometimes I worry about that with him. Having to put the weight of everything on Feige's shoulders. Nobody can really withstand that kind of pressure for too long.
Well, no, he crumpled with Phase 4. It's clear.
Yeah, well, Phase 4 mainly because your person who was going to help you do all that got fired. I mean, that was what James Gunn was gonna take over the cosmic side of everything, and that was gonna leave Kevin Feige to handle everything else. And when James Gunn wasn't there anymore, Feige had to basically shoulder everything. And I totally get it. I mean, we have the Eternals, but in actuality, the film that was to have originally been released was Guardians 3. So when Guardians 3 fell off, they just went into production on the Eternals. So that's the only reason why we got the Eternals, is because Guardians 3 didn't go into production. And again, the Eternals, that could have been easily the Inhumans or the Mutants or whomever.
Again, Phase 4 is basically for everyone to see Kevin Feige shit in the bed. That's what it is.
Basically, all the things that make Spider-Man's life cohesive is basically broken into so many parts with so many of the different franchises.
Mm-hmm.
So just to basically unite it all under one umbrella, bring in Venom, bring in Morbius. It's so much, and then are the villains going back to where they came from? Do they are they all going to coexist on one plane of existence? Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, so what happens with all of them? I mean, it'd be a shame to send them all back. So why so two of them could fight one Spider-Man, two of them could fight another Spider-Man. It's like and Spider-Man needs all those villains because that's his rogues gallery. It's like, but splitting them up between three people, does it get to a point where we get more movies with all three Spider-Men. You know, and then what happens with
I want to get away from the comic book movies that kill the villain at the end.
right.
Instead, have them defeated and moving away to come back on another day. I mean, is she going to be how was she? Because I don't remember much about her in the comic books. Was she a good villain?
She was half and half. Sometimes, you know, she could be a villain. Sometimes she could be someone who would aid Spider-Man. She's you know, depends on how you write her.
Yeah.
I think that this could easily just be an origin story for that particular character, and that's the reason why she's starting out younger in the form of Dakota Johnson. It's good to have her character, because I think what they're going to try to do is the entire live action Spider-Verse that Sony wants to do.
Right.
I think that this particular character, Madam Web, will be the focal point of that universe. Okay, so you still have a Spider-Woman movie on the way with Olivia Wilde, and they're still discussing Kraven the
I'm not
Hunter
a fan of her,
for Aaron
by the
Taylor
way.
Johnson.
I can't stand her.
Yeah, hopefully
I'm not
Feige helps
excited
her
about that.
with that. But Madam Web, though, it's rumor as far as obviously it's a project coming with Madam Web, but supposedly they do have a writer, they have I think even a director attached to it, but it may not actually be a full Madam Web film. That's just the rumor side of it. Yeah, it's got to be something, some multiverse thing. They always wanted a multiverse film. Sony did. And this is their way to do it. Like, they have the 3 Spider-Men out there. It all could be connected, you know?
Yeah.
I was hoping that they would bring in someone like Helen Mirren to be Madam Web, but
They wanted
I
somebody
do
young
enjoy.
It's that whole thing that you talk about all the time. It's like, why bring in somebody
Multiple
older
movies.
that can only do maybe 1-2 films when we could bring in somebody young that can do multiple films? You know,
Right.
Franchise.
So I get it. X-Men Sophie Turner to enter MCU as Phoenix.
Right.
She was a fan favorite. I know that a lot of fans liked her, even though that last film was a big stinker.
The last 2.
Hey,
the last 2, yeah.
let's get the writer from the original Phoenix story movie and get him to come back and direct it, so he gets to make the film he wanted to make from the beginning. And it was crap. It was just crap.
That was like, I think the first one was better. That's the sad part of all this.
Yeah, the first one was better, despite certain
That was
characters
terrible.
being really goofy. Juggernaut was weird in that.
He was a meme, a walking meme.
One of my favorite characters was in there was Kitty Pryde, because I've always been a Kitty Pryde fan with the X-Men. Wolverine and Kitty Pryde were my 2 favorite characters.
Yeah, that was a good limited series.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. You know, this is going to be the difficult part for Kevin Feige. This is going to probably be the biggest test with fans for Kevin Feige, is to see if he could get the X-Men right. Okay? It is going to be very important for his future as the head of all things Marvel related at Disney to make sure that you bring in the kind of actors that everyone can actually see are more in keeping with how these characters are in the comics. And so, on the one hand, do you throw everything out the window again and cast someone for Wolverine who is more like Hugh Jackman? Or do you try to cast someone who is more in keeping with the way Wolverine is in the comics? That's your first hurdle right there, okay? Because you know that's coming. And then how do you cast for Cyclops? Do you write the character and cast for a character that is pretty much a cut? Or do you write for someone who should technically be like, I don't know, who should technically be like James Bond in a sense, or Jason Bourne in his abilities? Those are questions that he and his team right now are probably struggling with, because you got to balance that also against your casting for the Fantastic Four. And again,
Ooh.
none of that's easy.
Right.
None of that is easy. I feel for the dude. I really do. I feel for the guy. I mean, he's had all of this success, and you know how fans are. If he screws this up, there's
going to be hell to pay.
That's one way of putting it. I feel bad for the guy. You know?
And Mikey does make it clear that this is a cameo.
Yeah. But you know that nothing is just gonna. Oh, it's just this one.
A lot's riding on it, right? I mean, because I
Yeah.
think really, because people, I don't know if they even take that. I don't think it's an overstatement. I think people were really riding on the Marvel Netflix. He had to make sure if you're gonna do Daredevil, people wanted Charlie Cox, right? If he would have screwed that up, that would have been a massive. But that would X-Men it's a little more wide open.
I think it was pretty much his intent from the beginning, because Keith and I even talked about that. They've got a built-in fan base. No way you don't
mess
use
that.
Right.
All they had to do was wait for the contracts to expire.
Right. Now, X-Men's more of a clearer canvas right now. It's like, okay, Sophie Turner, like Keith, you always say, someone that can do a franchise. Well, I think she's perfect.
Well, her contract was with Fox. Disney owns Fox now. So they can use whatever they want.
But here's the thing, though. Is this going to be Jean Grey for the rest of the time here, or are we still doing this whole, multiverse type thing where we're just going to invite in many of the actors that have played these parts in the past and allow them to cameo and walk through so that the audience can go, hey, I remember.
It's now
member berries.
Part of the MCU, though. I think that's really, it's less about member berries and more about we're showing that everything is now part of the MCU.
Maybe this is a test.
Yeah, but I mean,
if she shows up and they like Sophie, okay, let's do more,
Well, that's just it. I mean, Feige, as well as Disney, despite acting like they don't listen to us, do pay attention to what's going on with the fandom, because they know that's where the money is. Kathleen Kennedy ignoring the fan base was a huge mistake, and Bob Iger was an idiot for letting her to continue. She technically should have hanged herself after Ryan Johnson. That should have been it for her. But Bob Iger doesn't. Once again, I'm going to say this thing that I said before. He gave them all the rope, but he didn't tether it at the other end so they could hang themselves. And that's the weakness on Bob Iger.
Iger's gone now, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
And he was expecting another Kevin Feige with Kathleen Kennedy. But the difference is Kevin Feige was already proven. He was already working and making money for the company. Whereas Kathleen Kennedy had never done any of this shit before. No experience whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, but I think that with Sophie, look, she's one of those actresses that's pretty, but she's got that, what do they call that? My daughter talks about it, the resting bitch face.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because I've got a resting bitch face too. It's
well, here's the thing though.
I just don't think she's that good of an actor.
Here's the thing that you're going to have to understand going into this next phase, okay? And this is straight from the comics. Out of all the women that in Marvel, the one that is considered to be the most beautiful is Sue Storm. Okay? So it's not like you're having to really worry that much. And I'm not saying that Sophie Turner's not beautiful. What I'm saying is that you are now competing with having all this Disney money. You are now competing to create something iconic. They're expecting Kevin Feige, and this is something that he brought on himself. He needs to hit the bullseye with every single person cast from here on. Okay, he cannot have a bad casting because you got the Disney money now. You've had all this success. You worked for Fox. You saw how they weren't getting it done. And everything you're doing should basically be you looking and thinking to yourself, well, how would Fox do it? And you doing the opposite. Okay, so oh geez, this is difficult. This is really difficult. I mean, who do you cast as Cyclops with Sophie Turner? Who do you think? Because if you're someone that only knows what the Fox version of the characters are and you've never read the comics, well, then you're going to get the kinds of actors that we've had up to this point. Nothing against those actors, but the way that character was written, that wasn't Cyclops. That was some guy that answered to the name. Cyclops was bad.
Yeah, the only two really great casting jobs they did with the X-Men at Fox was I loved their casting of Jean Grey and Wolverine and Professor Xavier.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart. Yeah.
You know, and those were all
Magneto.
And Xavier was fan, because you remember that in Wizard magazine.
Yeah,
that was what fans were calling for, was to have
when he was
either
Picard.
Mel Gibson or Clint Eastwood as Wolverine.
Yeah,
but the funny thing is Hugh Jackman looks like Clint Eastwood when he was young, so it was kind of perfect in many ways.
Again, if Daniel Craig were in his 20s, I would say hire him and just darken his hair and make him.
Yeah, but he'd want to allude to Logan being gay, so no.
No.
He's such a woke douche. I love his acting, but God,
actually, I'm thinking like the guy from that Secret Service movie, The Kinsman.
Oh, that kid. Yeah, 'cause we talked about him last time.
Right.
Yeah, but he's a little on the short side.
Edgerton.
Yeah. He's a little on the short side. You
Which is
know,
perfect
I'm not
for
saying he's not a good actor, but
Wolverine is
Wolverine.
no,
I'm talking Cyclops.
Yeah, Cyclops.
Oh,
yeah.
Cyclops.
He'd be a good Cyclops too. But speaking of the X-Men, boom, Marvel Studios could have the Avengers and the Eternals and X-Men fight in a movie, and none of us give two shits about the Eternals the way they depicted. And who wrote this? This is Edwin Francisco. Could Marvel Studios have the Avengers, the X-Men, and Eternals fight in a film? Marvel Comics love crossovers. Furthermore, they do them well. For example, in 1985, Secret Wars was an incredible read. It also led to my quitting of comic books because of the marketing campaign that went with it. After all, it was the thrill. Okay, we need to move ahead. Edwin does this. He gets along in the tooth before he gets to the point. So all we wonder is, how can Marvel Studios even top Endgame? Marvel Comics is about to release Judgment Day. So there was an Inhumans comic with the same title in 2018. This is different. Judgment Day combines the Avengers, Eternals, and the X-Men. So I don't know. What do you guys feel about this?
Shit, man. I'm wondering where the Inhumans are at.
Yeah, they're very interesting. You got something to say about that, Keith?
They need to recast. I mean, again, this is a lot of work that Kevin Feige has before him. There's a lot of parts to fill and a lot of contracts to be written, and how long you're going to be able to use some of these. We're here speculating about this, and I'm starting to get a headache. You know, look. This is the direction they want to go, and that's fine. So, okay, it's going to be the Avengers, and when we say the Avengers, it'll basically be everybody who they've casted up to now that is still a part of the MCU and hasn't been retired, replaced, killed, whatever. So there's going to be no Iron Man, no Captain America, pretty much the Avengers that we grew to love, phase 1, 2, 3. They're not going to be there. This is going to be a whole different group of Avengers. Okay.
Well, this one, I take this more as a speculative article than a scoop. Because what he's saying is, basically, look, they brought this comic book out, and we've already got these characters established in the MCU. Well, we're going to be with the X-Men. So once they do that with the bringing in of the X-Men, it would seem a good direction to go, he says. And I'm like, I don't know about that because
well, it's also a lot of the Avengers that they will have will be also Rands. I mean, everybody that you're going to have left. I mean, it's going to be Captain Marvel. It's going to be Riri Williams. It's going to be, they're going to make all of them the Avengers, and then you're going to have the X-Men, and then you're going to have the Eternals. And I'm sitting here going, unless your casting is really good for the Avengers, I'm not seeing anything that I'm getting. Yeah. Look, I'm more excited about the possibilities of what DC could do with Justice League 2 and 3 than I am about this movie. At least with Justice League 2 and 3, we're going to get Nightmare, and then we're going to get a massive, full-on apocalypse versus Earth's heroes type film, and I mean it's going to be huge.
Yeah,
and
if you're going to if they're going to bring Zack Snyder back, they need to let him do the whole thing.
Oh, what? Having already casted Dr. Fate for Black Adam, I mean, you go out and get James Bond to be your Dr. Fate, Pierce Brosnan. I mean, it's just like,
right.
We're starting like that. Okay, I'm in. So this is going to be huge. I mean, just with the characters that they have right now: Wonder Woman, Aquaman, the Shazam family. They're going to have the Green Lantern Corps. That they'll probably have to bring in the New Gods. Oh, and the Justice League with Martian Manhunter. Okay, that's excitement.
That's DC.
I mean, come on. With everything I just laid out before you, it's the Avengers of what they have with the Eternals and an unknown group of people playing the X-Men versus what DC is going to offer us, which is just butt kick.
Right.
2023.
Then you got to consider all the Disney Plus characters that are probably transfer over into the movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is huge. But that Kevin Feige's enjoying that. That once Zack Snyder comes back, this is what Kevin Feige has been wanting to do. He wants to see who's the best. He wants to just take it on. That's gonna be amazing. But based on
I got to tell you,
now,
as dark as DC can get, I'm always going to veer that way because I like dark over, fun. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy fun, but I like dark. I like dark fun, man.
It's everybody in the Justice League.
Oh God,
the way Zack Snyder had him, but also The Rock as Black Adam. And the Justice Society that he's already going to have in his movie.
Well, exactly.
Along with the Shazam family.
I want to make my joke. Yeah, DC, the other dark meat.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Mikey wrote this article. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man will have a Spider-Girl daughter. Which I like that because it's a mutation now. And so he's going to make more. So the daughter is technically Spider-Man is not truly a mutant. He's been mutated, but he wasn't born that way. Whereas that's what mutants are supposed to be. They were born with that mutated gene. She is a mutant because she was born with the gene.
Nothing against Kevin Feige's decision to go down this road, but curious, this kind of sounds like his counter programming to what we learned about Supergirl in the Flash film. Being the daughter of Christopher Reeves, Clark Kent, along with Lois Lane.
Yeah. If that's true, I'm still.
If that's true,
treating that as rumor.
Yeah.
I
hope that's not true.
But if that is who she actually is,
yeah,
that will be interesting. And this is really because this is Tobey Maguire's world, so Arwen would love this story, right? But This is
Yeah, that
Sony
it's,
really
it's the
pushing
daughter
this
of Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst's characters of Mary Jane and Peter Parker.
Right. That's Mayday Parker. I mean, I love that comic run when it first came out. So that they can have a home run, I think, with that actually. Female character, like you said, going against a Supergirl thing. That would be a home run.
Well, in this one, I see where they're, because it says here there's a spin-off discussion for Spider-Gwen, Spider-Woman, and Silk, among others. So, and I think, don't get me wrong, because I dislike some of the ridiculous neo-feminist stuff they do, but I like female superheroes.
Me too.
And when they're done well, if these are done well, I'm going to enjoy the shit out of them.
Right.
My thing is, you can't beat down one sex to make the other sex look better. You just look like an asshole.
Right.
And that's what they tend to do most of the time. Make the men look weak and dumb, and the women strong and courageous. And those every single time have failed. Every single time they do that. Right. But Feige has a tendency of playing things smart, even when he's being woke, like Ridley Scott. Yeah. Ridley Scott does that. I think he made a mistake with The Last Duel because I don't think he's in touch with audiences anymore. And that's why he lashed out at comic book.
Yeah,
everybody.
I don't think he really cares.
And the modern telephone age, everybody wants to watch these movies on their phone. It's like, look, man, you got to stop blaming the audience.
Get off my lawn.
Hey, man, we say that all the time. Shut up. I mean, that was our slogan going out every year. That's the end of the show. Get off our lawns. Because we're old guys. But yeah, it is an old guy thing to say. And the fact is, that's what they sound like. Instead of, because like Roland Emmerich's comments about comic book movies destroying cinema. It's like, no, you fucking idiot. Corporate filmmaking is what destroyed cinema. That you're afraid of corporations. He'll make fun of comic book movies, but not
technically. He took a lot of Chinese money to make this movie Moonfall. You took almost 140 million dollars to make this movie.
What did you and I say?
Gone off to...
Keep your budgets under 75. If you could be an independent budget of under 50 million, you are going to really kick ass in the modern cinema. But when you start getting up over 100 million, your movie better have some serious marketing backing, because otherwise it's going to tank. No. You cannot earn back money from over $100 million if you don't have an equal or a greater amount marketing it. And you better have a product that people want to fucking see.
Yeah.
So Roland Emmerich, look, he wants to be the master of disaster, like what's his name that created Lost in Space was
Irwin Allen.
Irwin Allen. Irwin Allen knew how to do those things, but you also look at his budgets. That despite
look at the Towering Inferno.
Towering Inferno, Steve McQueen and fucking Paul Newman. And his
you had Steve McQueen and Paul Newman in the same movie, and then you see all the other actors.
Fred Astaire
in that. Yeah, it's like
Robert Forsyth. Everybody, big names.
It's funny because I got that movie sitting right there on the floor.
You got to bring it,
film, man.
If you're going to do it,
I love that movie.
If you're going to do something like this, you got to bring it on every level. You cannot afford.
He needed to do that movie at a $75 million budget, under 100, and so that he tanked. It's all on him. These guys are getting stupid. Now, agreed. Some of the directors just say these things, and I think they're doing it for marketing. Like when Scorsese says it, he just put out a fucking movie. Of course, he's going to say something. He wants to get in the press. He wants to say things to get into the press, and that's clever. But Centropolis just looks like fucking idiots saying that, because he's saying the exact same thing Scorsese said, and it's like, look, man, that's printed over a year ago. What the fuck? You're not saying something new here. You just sound stupid.
Right.
So there you go. But Spider, I don't know. This daughter, Spider Girl.
Maybe.
I hope it's going to be good. I hope it's not what you're talking about with, and I hope even Supergirl isn't what they say.
It'll be.
I hope that's not true.
That'll be a mistake and a half. But speaking of the Spider-Verse, I guess we'll bring in our next one. Tom Holland throws support for Andrew Garfield's canceled Spider-Man film, which we all know that the reason that didn't happen was because they were in Hawaii. Sony was in Hawaii, and they said they wanted poor Andrew Garfield there, and God knows why he didn't show up to the meeting. They didn't tell him it was mandatory to keep his fucking job. He didn't show up and got fucking fired from his own series.
Mm-hmm. This is coming
because
off the
someone's ego got
Spider-Man 2. Right, Gary? It was coming off of Spider-Man 2. Poorly performed as far as that's not what they wanted.
And I don't blame him. I blame that on
right.
The way they put it together.
Yeah, he's like, y'all overbloated the film. Like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be personal. It always needs to feel personal with Spider-Man. That's why Spider-Man 2 was Sam Raimi's film is still, you know, it ties.
That's the best one.
It's the best one, followed by the new one, No Way Home, because I really fucking love that movie. Yeah, Spider-Man 2, despite the fact that no, it's not perfectly comic fair. It's not perfect. I fucking love that movie because it's the closest thing to the comic I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
Great relationships. The relationship dynamics were powerful. Powerful. And I just thought the threat was real too. You really felt it. And as much as I liked the Goblin, Green Goblin in the first film, I thought Doc Ock was the best villain in the Spider-Verse. Him and the Vulture were my two favorites growing up.
Oh,
Goblin was
creepy. Vulture was straight creepy.
Oh man, he was bald and he had that hook nose.
I'm just gonna kill you. It's like, jeez.
In that skin tight costume with the wings and the white fluff around the collar. I'm like, what's wrong with him? Why does he look like that? That's not normal. Nobody does that.
How soon until Sony picks up the phone to call Michael Keaton to do more work with him?
Well,
that's the big question.
We need I would really at this point finally want to see the Sinister Six because we've seen these villains, we like these villains, and we need to see a proper Sinister Six. Now I know they wanted to make No Way Home the Sinister Six battle, but I think holding back was a smart move and save it for another day. And but we got to get more of the Vulture because what a great fucking character, and I love Keaton's portrayal.
I'm sure he's back. I mean, they have a glimpse of him in Morbius. That's coming up in 2 months. So I think, people are going to be like, okay, we need more Keaton now. Let's get this going. So
yeah, I got you said it, dude, and I've got goosebumps. I'm thinking about that scene because I was not excited about the Morbius film. Now, after seeing this last trailer, I'm like, I'm into this. I'm on board.
Totally trust me, with him coming on with coming back as Batman, that's going to help bring him back even more for Vulture.
Oh yeah. Well, he's making that money.
We'd rather see him as Vulture than Batman.
Yeah,
really.
Well, to be honest with you, I really do. I as much as I enjoyed him as Batman, I did not really feel that was Batman. Tim Burton fucked up a lot of stuff in there, and it bugged me. But it's very memorable. I can quote lines all day long from it.
Oh yeah, I like them. Yeah, I love Keaton. I mean, Batman '89. I mean, come on, the soundtrack alone, is like classic. With Prince.
You know what? That's the thing I got to give the DC films overall. They've had better soundtracks than Marvel. Not that Marvel hasn't had good ones.
I mean, they landed Prince for God's sake at the peak of his career.
He did the entire soundtrack.
How do you beat that? How do you beat Prince coming out with his own? I mean,
and by the way, one of my favorite quotes from that film isn't in the movie, but it's in the outtakes. Is where he turns, he's standing there and Batman zooms out with what's her name?
Vicky Vale.
Kim Basinger.
Vicky Vale. And he's like, where does he get those toys? Yeah. And then he turns to Bob, well, don't just stand there, Bob. Go ask him. One of the best fucking lines. I wish they'd left that in the movie. What a great line.
Jack Nicholson just made up that film, man.
I would love to. It'd be great if they could get him to cameo in the Flash film, just walk through or something,
Jack
and
Nicholson,
not so much dressed as the Joker, but dressed as
Wow.
that particular Earth's Jack. You
That would be
know,
nuts.
who hadn't really become the Joker, you know, but was still
Jack
a bad
Napier.
guy. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, right.
That would be easier to get him to do it like that than it would
Right.
be to put him in the makeup, you know, because you don't really have to do it. You don't really have to do that with him.
Right.
I find it funny.
See,
I find it funny how we all ADD and leave Spider-Man behind to go back to DC.
Bias.
we love you, Spider-Man. We love you so much.
I do
Now
hope,
more Batman.
to go back before we move on, I would like to see Andrew Garfield's third movie get made.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
like to see that. So, and I would like to see them fix the Rhino and not be what we saw at the end of the second movie, because I hated that costume. But I like the actor, Italian actor. I can't think of his name right now. A little short on the
Giamatti.
dude. Giamatti.
Yeah. And they made
Very
fun
good
of that
fucking actor.
in No Way Home. I think I picked up on all the dialogue wherever they made fun of. Sony and Marvel's like, we're gonna fix this. You know, we're gonna fix this in the next film. So
We're leaving Marvel behind and going on to the other Disney property. Is of course. Oh, why does it do that?
Oh,
Will Baby Yoda choose Luke Skywalker or the Mandalorian? Because we saw the armor sitting there. This is actually the production art for the scene. That's not a clip or an image from the show itself. That's from the production art. And I think it's beautiful because all they had was the vest part of the chainmail armor and the little Yoda lightsaber. Even though wasn't his lightsaber destroyed in the comics?
That's what I
considered
thought.
Canon comics. I don't know. I heard somebody talking about it the other day too, and I thought it was too. But anyway,
Kathleen Kennedy didn't care. Yeah, she don't care about comics.
Or
thought we knew that.
Favreau and Filoni don't care what Kathleen Kennedy created in the comics. It could be one or the other. But
There you go.
Will Baby Yoda? That's my favorite part of this. Is Edwin Francisco calls him Baby Yoda, even though we know his name is Grogu.
Grogu.
And he is not Yoda, but he still wrote that as the title of the article. And the fact is a lot hinges on this. A lot of people are sitting on the edge of their seats because this is a potential cause for protest. How this turns out, because there is a large portion of the fandom that absolutely wants the sequel trilogy wiped out of existence. And the way they said that would be wiped out is if Grogu becomes Luke Skywalker's first student, which everybody knows that according to the sequel trilogy and its attached comics, that Kylo was Luke's first student.
Yeah, that Ben
Solo was his first student, which I think is really odd due to the fact that kid was 15 when he went to them, right? Or was he younger than that?
He had to be younger,
I thought he was,
right?
I thought he was 10 or 11.
It just seems a long time for Luke to be waiting to start his Jedi.
That's
Academy.
like a plot hole right there, right?
Yeah.
Like
That's a long time. That's years of, well, I guess I'll go ahead and start my academy now. And you're it.
Luke would
so
that, right?
So what happens if Grogu ends up being like how Star Killer was like the Secret Apprentice? So which means that like it happened, but it didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. A lot hinges on what's going to happen here as far as future protests with the fan base. But which I consider myself a huge Legacy fan, but I don't get up in arms about it.
They're putting a lot on this, right? Filoni directed this episode, and he really is like hinging on this. So they got to deliver, man. Or like you said,
and now they're reshooting, and you still got Kathleen Kennedy, according to Doomcock, is hobbled in her position. She has no power anymore. She has some sort of authority, but no power. The power, as I've said, is actually in the Star Wars writers group. They're the greatest problem.
Okay.
If they did fire Hidalgo, that's a
Mhm.
huge step in the right direction.
Right.
It's not the step in the right direction, but it is a step in the right direction.
Right.
Yes.
And because Hidalgo is just a fucking
He's just
prick.
bad guy.
I've never
He's a
seen him
bad
say
guy.
anything publicly I ever fucking was like, wow, he's a real fan. It's like, no, he sounds like a complete fucking political buffoon that's constantly making everything about his identity politics. And I just can't stand people like that. They're impossible to talk to. I was just talking about that on Twitter because there's this huge battle yesterday on Twitter with a bunch of my friends. And I just kept writing, I'm looking for the assholes and I'm just blocking them because I don't want to engage with these people. That's not who I want to engage with. Other people that love Star Wars and want to talk about Star Wars, not about identity politics.
Right.
Because it's either Star Wars or it's identity politics. When you start mixing it, it's still identity politics. And I don't want to talk about it. So far right now, Filoni is a two-faced prick.
Yep.
And we can never completely trust him. But he's
I
really
agree.
good when he's being managed by somebody like Favreau. Now, the problem I see here is there seems to be some sort of fight for control of Star Wars. And one of the rumors that came down through, again, I heard it through Doomcock, was that possibly what Favreau was doing here was letting Star Wars writer group get their way, just so people could see how fucking stupid it is. That's why the first episodes are so fucking weird.
Very weird approach at the beginning of this.
I wouldn't have done it that way because it's always about the quality of the product, but maybe that's the end game that Favreau and I'm not going to say Filoni, I'm just going to say Favreau. Because Filoni will go along with whatever Kathleen Kennedy says.
Right.
He is just so fucking, he's
the force is female.
He is a force female loving motherfucker. But look, the force doesn't have a sex. It doesn't have a gender. It doesn't have a gender preference. It really doesn't. The reason why Star Wars is the way it was with male roles is because George Lucas was writing a story about fathers and sons. That's what it was about. He's a guy writing about what he knows. That's what we're told in creative writing. Write what you know. Write what you care about. And so he's writing about fathers and sons. And with what they did, because I got into a fight about this not that long ago, was how Darth Vader was a good guy in the end. I said, yeah, but he was still a villain. Don't underestimate Darth Vader as a villain. He was a villain who learned about redemption through the eyes of his son.
Yeah, because if you don't make him a villain, then why redeem him? Why was it necessary to redeem him?
Exactly.
So,
because the Disney thing now is to turn villains into good guys and make the good guys the bad guys, like they did with that movie with the woman with the horns and magic and shit, Sleeping Beauty and all that shit.
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, it's like they flipped it on its head, and I'm like, my problem with that is you're shitting on your own creation when you do that. The original Disney movie was a classic for a reason, and you're saying that the king was the bad guy.
I think there could also be something else for this that would also help to determine whether or not they are actually going to lead to the sequel trilogy or take a different path, which is how they use Han Solo. I believe that if they bring Han back, for this particular time period, and they find a way of connecting what they want him to do with, say, what they tried to do in the Solo film, meaning going after the Syndicate. Because, again, this is all a part of what they've already brung up. This is a part of now the Boba Fett story that they have for Disney+. So why not just lean into it and have, instead of having Han Solo leave his wife and child, you could say that he became caught up in trying to dig into the Syndicate and realized that there was no place that they could go because this was going to be worse than owing Jabba money. he needed to take the syndicate out, and it turns out that it's run by his ex-girlfriend.
And he has to work with
And he
Bubba
has
and
to.
the Mandalorian. So we'll see where they're going to go with it.
Big
I
episode.
I got to tell you, man. And of course, this leads to our next one, which is Disney considering Luke Skywalker TV series. This one written by Edwin Francisco, which they go into it, and it's another speculative article about this really did turn on fans. Their viewership increased watching this episode. And again, I want to point out that these last two episodes are not Boba Fett. They were Mandalorian episodes, really.
That's why I like
it. Because they didn't know where they were going with Boba Fett.
No.
And I think even if it's, all about the Star Wars writers group, it was a fucking mess.
It sounds like
embarrassing, really.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like more efforts by the Star Wars writers group and Kathleen Kennedy, who probably had influence on what all this stuff was going to be about, because Jon Favreau was busy, I think, shooting Spider-Man during that period of time, which is the reason why he was gone. He would have been there on set taking care of business. The only reason why he would leave is if he had something else that he had to do or was contractually obligated to do. And I can only think of one thing. I mean, everybody's seen that Spider-Man movie. He's definitely in it. That would be something that would pull him away to fly, across the country to do that. Because I think they filmed all that. A majority of all the Spider-Man stuff is filmed in Atlanta. And the headquarters for everything that he's doing, as far as Mandalorian and everything else, that's on the West Coast.
Yeah.
At
And of course, he wasn't
so,
there. And this leads to the little comment that in the interview with Tamura was that while Favreau was away, he tried to get the writer that was in charge to acquiesce and let him give his dialogue to Ming-Na, because he felt that it was wrong for Boba Fett to be saying some of these lines. It didn't feel right.
Or speaking so much.
But that lead writer was afraid to make the decision and called Favreau in Atlanta. And Favreau said, shoot the scene as it is. And the minute I saw that in writing, that Tamura said that, I'm like, that does not sound like Favreau. Because Favreau is really good about stuff like that with other stuff he's worked on. And it's kind of out of character for him. So when Doomcock brought up the fact that this may have been around the end play to make the Star Wars writer group look bad.
Yeah, to give them enough rope to hang
not
themselves.
To the fans, because I don't think the fans will ever be told, but to the executives in charge.
Right.
Okay, we did what they said. Look what happened.
Right.
And so right after that, all of a sudden Hidalgo's gone. And that's because he did another leak. He fucking leaked twice.
Yeah, that
second leak, even Kathleen Kennedy says, look, man, I can't trust you if you're going to keep doing this.
Right.
Well, you signed an NDA.
Yeah.
You signed an NDA.
You don't do the fucking leak.
Right.
He's a dick. But I do want to show this real quick, because this is where they got the story from Giant Freaking Robot, which is a bunch of fucking idiots over there, too. We got this covered, and Giant Freaking Robot are kind of like first cousins when it comes to getting scoops and shit like that. So anything they write about, I immediately question. But, I do know that there is that potential that there would be clearly an interest in a Luke Skywalker series if they can pull it off. And now that they hired that kid, I think they can do it. They just got to get better with the voice. And I think the best thing to do is to de-age and clean up Mark Hamill's actual voice. Get him to because he's a great voice actor, to do as youthful a voice as he can, get that gravelly thing out of his voice, which he's really good at. Because it's what brought about so many of his cartoon character voices, including the Joker. His ability to get the You know,
Hobgoblin was great.
yeah, well, Hobgoblin just sounded like the Joker to me. Like,
Yeah,
right.
"Oh,
That's why I like
that. You know, it's like he does this
I
thing
don't
when
even-
he talks down here in his throat. But when he just does his normal voice, he still really sounds like Luke Skywalker because he's done
Yeah.
it on that claymation series.
Oh yeah, you talking about
And
Robot
Family
Chicken?
Guy. Robot Chicken
Yeah.
and Family Guy.
Right,
He's done Luke
right.
Skywalker. And he still sounds like Luke Skywalker. I think they could
You know-
easily just de-age his voice a little bit, and they should just stick to that. And
I don't even think they're going to have Harrison Ford actually participate in all of this. I think what you have is they've
Silva
been
laughed.
working.
Silva laughed when he said that. What are you laughing at?
No, I mean I think that's funny. I mean, I think that's possible. Like what he just
Yeah,
said.
I mean, they have him
don't
working
know.
on Indiana Jones, and they had to do a lot of that face replacement with the body double. They've already got his face, so you would basically they would end up doing what they did with Mark Hamill
Right.
for this, which is just have somebody there approximately the right height, everything else, and just
Right.
digitally give that person Harrison Ford's face, and
Right.
then you could
Now,
find
Jim
somebody
Cox
that's
believes that the Han Solo scene will actually be Han Solo Leia handing off Kylo. Is
Maybe.
what they were saying.
I mean, none of us know. We can only
yeah, none of us know. It's all
But-
speculation. But that was what Doomcock
Mm.
was saying.
Oh, that's
But
what
if
he
you're
said,
gonna
okay.
have Leia and everything, that'd make it kind of
Ooh.
exciting. I'm
See,
not
I
really
heard the
gonna.
rumor of Amelia Clark. That's what I heard. The rumor that
And that's the other rumor is I'm
Which
all
kinda
for
makes
that
more
one.
sense.
Syndicate.
An older
Yeah.
Amelia Clark,
because you had to
aged.
set up more in these Disney Plus series, so you could do more with her. You know, there's a Syndicate story.
Because I still haven't had enough Darth Maul. He's dead now because Obi-Wan killed him.
That
on
brings back
Tatooine.
Darth Maul. Exactly.
Exactly. But I would still like to go that because we may get to see that finally live action with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Right.
And that rewrites part of.
And if you watch that, by
me-
the way, did you notice what Obi-Wan did when he fought Darth Maul? Because I caught it.
When he fought in
He
the winter,
used Qui-Gon style.
Yeah,
He started with
Yeah.
his own, and they were faced off the way he did with the hand sticking out, and then he turned and did Qui-Gon stance.
are you talking about in Rebels? Or are you talking about
when
in,
he
uh,
fought
Yeah, well,
Darth
the
Maul?
Yeah,
final time
Rebels.
they met.
Right.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
bro? Yeah,
yeah.
I did catch that. Yeah. That
yeah,
was
and that's what threw Darth Maul off, and he just quickly killed him. Great samurai fight because
That was
in a real samurai fight, they only. What are you doing?
Sorry.
You can't
There was
pet
something.
me.
There was
Stop
something
petting
hanging on.
So
something
Gary
hanging
did
off
for-
there. That's like get off.
Gary, did Filoni do Rebels? You giving Filoni
Yeah,
credit?
Filoni was working on Rebels.
Filoni's cool.
Look, Filoni has done a lot of good Star Wars. He's friends with George Lucas. My problem with him is he's duplicitous, and
he's the most direct link.
and he's a
to
good
George
guy to have working for you, not in charge.
Right.
Favreau, on the other hand, I think is a better person in charge, but fans are going to lose faith in Favreau because of what happened with Boba Fett. Even though I think we all know that this is not Favreau, but the Star Wars writers group that caused this problem. But anyway, getting back into this, the Luke Skywalker series would be really fucking cool. It's good to see that we're finally getting some good Star Wars mixed in with all the bad Star Wars that came out. But seeing that every single time we talked about Marvel, we ended up in DC. Let's go back to DC.
It's only right.
Because we fucking love DC. It's clear we're all DC fans. Now, Robert Pattinson, and I talked to a few of our mutual friends on Facebook yesterday about some of this, but Robert Pattinson's The Batman First Reaction revealed, of which the film has gotten its first online reaction. Critics will see the movie in a few weeks. In the meantime, it's a mystery. Some are confident that director Matt Reeves will nail it. Others are a bit skeptical. So far, audiences are thrilled about Pattinson's brutal presence. When his casting was announced, there was a social media angst because of his Twilight films, which I knew better than because I was a quick defender of him, even though he is a bit of a twat.
Right.
A number of fans couldn't take it seriously. Although Pattinson appeared in acclaimed movies since Twilight's end, the masses didn't see them. And that's the problem, because I've seen all those indie films he was in, and they're really fucking good.
Lighthouse and all that.
Yeah, Lighthouse, the film he did with Cronenberg.
One with Holland on Netflix.
And then he did that Aussie apocalyptic film, which was really good. But instead, he became critics' darling, which I don't like that. Fuck that. That's not saying anything good when you hear that. The trailers calmed the storm. It's quite obvious that Robert Pattinson captured the Batman's grit and darkness. And but what about Batman movie? Certainly, the footage is reminiscent of Christopher Nolan's streetwise approach. And this is where I start having a problem. It's like we need to get away from the external armor and get back to the suit. That's why I like Affleck's uniform or costume, because it felt like a costume. This armor shit has been done to death. I mean, it really has. Have that under the suit. Wear a fucking costume. But they still went with this thing, and it's my least favorite part of this is the body armor. Even though I love the idea behind the if there's a potential that is the weapon that killed his parents, I think that would be neat. But in other words, this movie strives for realism. While Zack Snyder had Batman fight Superman, Reeves has him fighting the Riddler in a trash bag costume. The media blitz draws comparisons to horror movies like Seven. Furthermore, the draw parallels to gangster classics such as The Godfather. Awards Daily Eric Weber tweeted a text about a friend who's seen the Batman. It corroborates those previous claims. However, some of the response is troubling. Well, it opens to interpretation. Your mileage may vary. Weber's source described the Batman as complex. Artistically, and that's not a good word, complex.
Not good.
Yeah, artistically, that can be seen as positive, but to some people, like myself, that can be viewed as pretentious. Because when you hear someone say complex, it usually means they don't understand it.
Exactly. You don't want that.
Right here, he says it. He says it. For example, a number of folks felt Eternals was complex. It's not complex. It's just dumb. In fact, many reviewers, I don't understand it. Well, sometimes when you don't understand something, it's because it's fucking stupid.
Complex.
In fact, many reviewers didn't get it at all. What's truly concerning, though, is that the Batman is controversial.
That's a quote, yes.
And this is where fans, when a fan sees the word controversial, we know that somebody, and it's right here, generally means the film makes unpopular decisions for the character. There are likely twists or changes in the Batman that will irk fans. Finally, people will discuss it endlessly. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it too. I can hear that starting. So far, it doesn't sound like the Batman is a smooth ride. For example, nobody would have described The Dark Knight as controversial. No. The audiences can decide for themselves in March. Will a Batman movie compared to Silence of the Lambs in Chinatown click with the public? Well, the Joker did. And so I think that there's room for this film. Warner Brothers is hoping for $1 billion on this one. It's not Warner Brothers, because the people at Warner Brothers are going to be gone before the end of the year.
It's Walter Hamada is open.
He'll get to go out on a grand slam instead of a bunt
single out
or a single out.
You know what? Walter Hamada is hoping that this will lead to him being at least attached to this. I'm pretty sure he's going to keep his attachment to this particular project even after he's gone. So when they end up making
what's her name? Amy Pascal over at Sony.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I think that's what her ass was fired. And yet she's still attached to these fucking projects. And that could happen. And if we do get a Joker 2, which it looks like, that's because they've been talking about it.
Todd Phillips, right.
If it's still based on that original agreement, I don't know why Warner would agree to it, because they fucked themselves with that movie.
I know, like financially, they only got like a third of the whatever profit.
They hardly got anything out of that. You know,
Yeah.
so if
Well,
it's up
that's
to the same
Walter Hamada.
contract-
That's Hamada, yeah.
That was Walter Hamada because he looked at the 3 projects that he had before him.
Are you Toby?
Which were the 3 projects he had were Wonder Woman 84, Birds of Prey,
James Gunn Suicide
and
Squad.
Joker. And out of the
Okay.
3 of them, Joker was the one that he wasn't too sure about. That one he saw as being something that could
which
probably
was an absolute
use money.
fucking home run. Shows just how
You
fucking
just-
stupid he is.
You just cost the studio a lot of money because Wonder Woman 84,
Millions, tens of millions. Joker was the
Birds
only
of
hit
Prey.
out of all those.
yeah. Any other time, that would have been your one-way ticket right out of town.
But
And-
people think, oh, Hamada's not gonna get fired. I mean, just look at that. Just look at that alone.
Yeah, I tell you, man. But
He's earned this.
yeah,
Oh yeah, you got to come into him.
yeah, everybody over there at Warner Brothers,
Right.
you
Has
know,
it coming.
including Warner Brothers end of Warner Media, has it coming to them. So
Mhm.
it's like the Red Wedding is coming. It's gonna be gory. Gonna be gory. Fucking Ezra Miller, man. It's like either he's beating a woman or he's threatening the KKK, or maybe both at the same time. Maybe they were all in the KKK. I don't know. But Ezra Miller's a bit of a fucking wow. He's a lunatic. He really is.
Well, allegedly he's like coked up all the time. That's
I
the
wouldn't be
rumor.
surprised to hear that.
That's the rumor there.
You
And I
know?
mean,
He's eccentric.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, I'm against obviously anyone that's hating on someone, like openly hate, but you could be against
Yeah,
that
because I don't
but
hate
not,
him at
threaten.
all. I think he's funny. I've enjoyed
Right.
films with him since he was a teenager, and my daughter is a big fan of his. So
Right.
I meant I had to have his stuff in my house all the time. But I do have to say, my openly mocking somebody doesn't mean I hate them.
Right.
I don't.
I
really
mean,
hate
I
people,
mean
but I will
him
mock
going as we're going against a hate group, KKK. That's not the problem. It's the fact that he like threatened to kill them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know he's
That's
fucking
what-
crazy.
Yeah,
It's like,
I mean,
dude, I get it, but you can't.
All I
threaten
hear
me.
is
That's-
Rick James saying, "Yeah, cocaine's a hell of a drug."
Exactly.
yeah, it's like just to hear that and to picture that just about a year ago he was dressed like a rabbit with the little ears and
Oh,
the,
yeah.
he was down there in all kind of little positions, with the little tail and everything. So I'm like,
He was clearly a furry.
yeah, it was.
He's a weirdo. Okay, we get it.
I will say this: I do like that Batman costume. It's a really good costume.
Keith was like, "Yo, I forgot about that part." It's like, "Yeah, nah, you got to remember that shit, right?"
It's hard to take Ezra seriously.
Like,
You
yo,
know? Yeah.
But Ezra Miller hints that Ben Affleck isn't done as Batman, but we already kind of knew that. Mikey's been saying this for a while that the Snyderverse is coming. Hamada can fight it all he wants to and say it's not happening. It's happening.
Well, yeah, I mean, because Hamada, Hamada's new boss could just straight up fire him, right? But Ezra Miller just got on social media, so I excuse him from catching up that Mikey's been talking about this, for like over a year now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's like, thanks for catching up, Ezra. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
We already kind of knew that. Okay, thank you. And that's where we're at with him. Ezra is getting his Flash movie, which I'm kind of glad. Some people didn't like him as a Flash. I enjoyed him.
Me too.
He was kind of clunky as a character, and that fit the dynamic of what was needed there. We didn't need all the characters being on the same level. We got this one who's kind of a kid that's kind of like out of sorts with the rest of the group, and that was kind of fun. Although I did not like Joss Whedon's jokes. They were dumb.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, it worked in Zach's film.
in Zach's. He toned it down in Zach's film.
Mm-hmm.
Him being so sketchy.
Yeah,
and spastic. He was kind of a spaz in Joss
right.
Film. But again, I want to point out that I love Batman's costume in Zach's world. I love the costumes and all the characters except for Flash. I wanted something a little more comic version, which they're saying we're going to get.
We're getting a new one.
Well, that was part of what Justice League 2 and 3 were going to be about. Bruce Wayne was going to help
him
Barry get a brand new costume, but that never happened because
he was going to Tony Stark this shit.
Oh
basically.
Yeah. Is that you, Keith?
No.
Oh, that's not me.
Oh, Sil, are you doing that?
Thought that was you, Gary.
Yeah, bro.
Not that I'm aware of.
I can look. I'm like, Gary, you gonna get that?
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Yeah, that's not that wasn't me.
You guys. It doesn't bother me. I don't give a shit what the audience thinks. No, I do. I do. I really care. No,
I will say this though. I recently watched Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League again, with the nightmare sequence at the end of the movie, and the whole thing talking about
I was
multiverse
with that.
It's kind of tactical.
I think that here's something that I missed in the Joker bringing up the multiverse, which is who's to say that with what we're watching in the nightmare timeline, that isn't actually a different multiverse for what they're doing.
One version of it.
Yeah, it could be one version. In fact, what we saw with Batman v Superman, which is the sequence where it looks like Batman is working with a particular group, and supposedly, according to Zack Snyder, one of the people with him in that scene is Carrie Kelly, who ends up getting killed and ambushed. What's to say that is actually a different Earth than the one that we're seeing at the end of Justice League? That you're actually seeing multiple.
I buy that.
Multiverse versions of that.
Like Leto
which would help to explain.
He's like, how many times have you gone? Leto was actually asking him this. How many times have you gone through this? How many times have you failed? So like, Zach's setting up a lot with that.
Yep.
And well, the other thing is though, now you can actually have Robin, or better yet, you can have Nightwing and Batgirl and Red Robin and all of the entire Batman family and other things in this, because we're dealing with the multiverse.
Mm-hmm. And I really hope that we get to see a Batgirl that's not androgynous looking with the costume.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because I'm getting so tired of these, like making them look plain and flat, like showing off your body somehow is.
Oh yeah, that's the Gail Simone Batwoman with the with the biker jacket kind of suit.
I looked at that and I'm
Gail
like,
Simone's
that's
loving
not
that.
Batgirl, man. Come on. But either way it goes, we've got a bright future for comic stuff. Some of it might not make us all happy, but we're probably going to get a bulk of it that we're going to like, and I predict that. But with that, we're going to move on to the next section, which is 24/7 Fusion Media's going to give us the State of the Union of Comics. He was supposed to do this last week, but there was this guy that was on our show that really screwed everything up. And we didn't get our State of the Union from 24/7 Fusion. So there it is. This is 24/7's presidential address to the State of the Union of Comics. There you go.
Yeah. So basically, this is a very, very, very good book. If anybody ever wanted to give Captain Marvel, Shazam a try, at least give them one story to read for you to make up your mind whether this is a character that you'd be interested in, this is the actual book to give them a chance to read. This is Shazam, The Power of Hope. Drawn by Alex Ross, written by Paul Dini, who is, of course, one of the co-creators of Batman the Animated Series. And the reason why this story is so good, it's not a story that so much is full of action in the sense that you just see a good guy versus a bad guy. This is actually a story of Billy Batson kind of forgetting how important his role is as a hero. And this is written to actually show how a superhero would really be in today's world, like to really be alive. And this is written from Billy Batson's perspective. And what it shows is how Billy Batson realizes that as Captain Marvel, what people call Shazam nowadays, basically finds himself as a hero, to understand his importance and to know that basically everything that he does, whether it's big or small, can actually make a difference in a person's life, whether it's for 5 minutes or whether it's for the rest of their lives. And he gets to find himself as a hero. And basically, I would recommend this as the first book that we'll be recommending, when we get together every week, just for the simple fact that it brought Billy Batson, who is Captain Marvel, it gave him the hope to see himself as the hero that he forgotten that he was. And this is a story that I think everybody, man, woman, or child, could actually identify in knowing what it is to be a real hero. So with that, I recommend The Power of Hope. And this is a feel-good story that on every level will, at least at the end of it, if this is the only thing you'd ever read from Captain Marvel's Shazam, from this character, after you read this would actually be the story that would actually have you respect who this character is. So if there's any story that I have hundreds of Captain Marvel comic books, even Silver Age, Golden Age Captain Marvel comic books, I would say to introduce anybody to Captain Marvel Shazam, The Power of Hope is where it's at. This is the one Captain Marvel story that I recommend anybody who is a fan or anybody that ever wanted to give him one story, one chance to see who this character really is. If you don't like what you've ever seen of him in the movies and maybe his own TV show when it was back in the 70s, or maybe how he was written in some of the comic books, this is a story that represents the essence of who Captain Marvel is in DC Comics. This is it.
Fantastic. I like what you said there, man. It was solid stuff.
Who wrote that one?
Paul
Paul Dini.
Dini,
And it was art by Alex Ross. It was one of
who you cannot beat Alex Ross when it comes to,
man,
because that's not even comic art anymore. That's just fucking art. All right, I want to thank everybody for watching the show this week. Thanks again for the State of the Union comment there, 24. Great comic to be getting. Keith, brother, thanks for being here, man. Sil, I don't know why we asked you here.
You guys,
I'm just teasing you, brother. I love you, man. Once again, we're sorry that Arwen wasn't here. Arwen wasn't here because her baby girl got hurt, and we're hoping her the best.
Oh yeah, of course.
Hopefully, we'll get good news before this episode airs, and we'll let you know in the chat how things went. But until then, this is the Scoop Zone, wishing you a wonderful week, and get the hell off our lawns.
Y'all take care.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Remember, you can find us at Pop Culture Minefield on both Facebook and Instagram. Thank you again.
Now, you hear?